now, our feature presentation.
I like it spooky.
Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of the I Like It Spooky Horror Podcast. I'm Brian.
I am Clint, and this go around, we are going to talk about something that you can't even see. And no, I don't mean John Cena.
You could see John Cena.
You can? I can't see John Cena. I look for him, I can't see. No.
Oh, shit. We could see the news.
We could talk about the news. Let's do that.
So I have two little things. The first, physical media has been in the news a lot lately. You know, people are calling for the death of physical media like they called for the death of music and records and books and everything. So Walmart's stepping in and they're kind of carrying the flag for physical media in stores. A lot of other places, Target, Best Buy, have stopped carrying physical media for the most part. They're bringing the reboot or the remake or the sequel or whatever the hell it was from 2003, the Evil Dead reboot that Freddie Alvarez did. They're bringing that with a steelbook, 4K Blu-ray to Walmart this year sometime. Maybe even now. It looks like it's for pre-order now. It's in store now. $45 though, and it doesn't look like there's anything added. It's not like it's an updated version with new special features or anything. The case and the artwork is beautiful, but I don't know if I want to throw $45 at a Blu-ray 4K with just new artwork.
I agree. It's a cool movie. It was one of those, some people loved it, some people hated it. Everybody wanted, Bruce Campbell. I thought it was a great movie. It'd be cool if it came with an action figure or a comic series, a limited comic series or something along with it, But yeah, just the movie in a pretty new case, huh?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the artwork is really cool, but yeah, for $45, just not something I'm going to pick up. If I find it at a thrift store or at a disc replay for, $15 at some point, I might pick it up, but not for $45.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah, and then my other thing is a first look at a Giallo-inspired motorcycle slasher, the film called Death Cycle. And there's a little teaser trailer. You don't get much, but it's a person in all black, sharpening a knife, getting their motorcycle ready, wrapping chains around their arms, and looks like they're gonna go cause some hell. Looks like we haven't had a good vehicular movie since Death Proof, maybe, even if it was fine. It wasn't anything great.
Don't forget about Rubber.
Well, yeah, but it looks like Gabriel Carey is coming to the independent horror film scene. He's been on that film scene. He's won awards, but he's way ahead of everybody in 2025. He's bringing Death Cycle to film festivals. So if you're lucky enough to get to see this at a film festival, if it's offered, go watch it, go check it out. And hopefully it's something that shows up somewhere streaming at some point. The teaser kind of has me interested to see what else is about.
I wonder if that'll be on MeView. In the last episode when we covered Return of the Living Dead, I talked about MeView.com. I want to see it. That sounds cool. It sounds like someone was watching Ghost Rider and Italian Giallo films and let's make a movie.
And it doesn't have to be over the top, crazy, in-depth. Keep it simple. Just keep it a person and a motorcycle, and you don't know what it is, and they're killing everybody.
Oh, you mean don't give it a weird, complex Art the Clown backstory?
No, absolutely not. No. God, no.
Okay, good.
So what do you got for news?
Talking about indie artists, which are we on Indie Spotlight right now? No, wait, we're on the flagship show. So our friends, the filmmakers of Valentine Bluff's a Fan film, in conjunction with Cabana Entertainment, have announced that the Pocono Cinema and Cultural Center, which is where they premiered Valentine Bluffs, I was there for that, Wheeze in Hollywood, Cabana Entertainment, and Sick and Twisted FX have come together to host a filmmaker screening and networking event. It says, this year we are putting together an event for independent artists to screen their work and to network with other filmmakers, actors, producers, and crew. Whether you are new to film or a film enthusiast, we want to invite you to come to our screenings, Q&A, and meet and greets. And the tickets for the event, it's now live. Be sure to reserve your seat before they're sold out. It is a smaller cinema. It was jam-packed for the Valentine Bluffs fan film premiere. But you can go to poconocinema.org/upcoming-events. If you go to Cabana Entertainment on Facebook, KABANA Entertainment on Facebook, there's a post about this, and it has like a list. They've already got some short films. Angelica, which is the Tom Smith new short film. There's Fallout, Hands Without People, A Plastic Piece, On Thin Ice. There's a whole list of things. There's a list of featured independent artists. So just something cool for the indie community out east. The Pocono Cinema and Cultural Center it's almost to Jersey. It's still in Pennsylvania. I can't remember the name of the town. If you're in that area, go check it out.
That is all that every film festival I've been to is networking, getting the word out, finding actors, finding people to do makeup, finding podcasts and ways to get your information out. And it's a great networking at film festivals. I love going every year.
Yeah, and filmmaking in general is a collaborative art. What better way to, especially if you're starting out, to work in those collaborations and make those connections. So switching gears to another story, Brian, you just talked about the Evil Dead thing. I said that'd be cool if there was maybe a comic series. Well, I just found this out the day before this recording. It was announced that the world's largest comic company shocks fans by filing for bankruptcy after fallout with Marvel and DC. So the world's largest English language comic distributor has abruptly filed for bankruptcy. Diamond Comic Distributors, they announced this on Tuesday that after 40 years in business, they have filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. It says here that the company was founded in 1982 by CEO Stephen Geppi. Diamond gained a stronghold on the industry by securing exclusive distribution deals with major publishers like DC, Marvel, and Image. And for decades, the company has played a pivotal role in the market, but they recently suffered a blow when it lost those exclusive rights to Marvel and DC, and they have accrued $50 million in liabilities with over 1,000 creditors.
Yeah, sounds pretty rough. I hope it doesn't affect comics. I mean, that's kind of the word I'm getting from people that are in the comic book industry, that it won't affect Marvel or DC or Image, the big names. It's the smaller companies, the independents that are really going to feel this.
And we've talked a lot about, on Indie Spotlight, we've had, one or two different shows. I think the one where we talked about comics. Especially the horror and the graphic novel and the independent comics have flourished in the past, maybe 5 years. There's so many great titles to choose from and great stories getting out there. Yeah, it would suck if it all gets halted because of fucking superheroes and conglomerate juggernauts like Marvel and DC that fuck up everything else too, That's just my opinion, sorry. I know there's fans of that stuff. I'm not trying to alienate them, but it would just suck if we can't get some of these cool indie horror comics because Batman and Spider-Man creators are squabbling over money.
There's never enough to go around.
Well, speaking of money, that reminds me, I am fucking poor.
So on this episode of Why Are We Poor, I have one thing, and I've had it for maybe a month and a half. I got it right before Christmas, maybe even 2 months, but it's my copy of Black Christmas. Yeah, from Stop the Killer Games. It came sealed, which is weird because I bought basket case and it wasn't sealed.
Yeah, my Bloody Valentine wasn't sealed.
But it's wrapped in plastic and it comes with a autograph from the writer on a cool little card.
I still wish she would autograph the book.
And then a bookmark that on one side says Black Christmas and now the other side says Silent Night, Evil Night. And of course, as the first edition hardcover printing from Stop the Killer Games. Super cool. Not sure I'll ever open it. The foreword's by Lynn Griffin, so I kind of want to read that, but I kind of want to just keep it closed.
I wonder if you can get online and read the foreword.
And not have to open the book? Yeah, probably.
I was bummed because we talked about that Stop the Killer Kickstarter program. You know, of course, there was the game, but I really wanted the unicorn, the glass unicorn. They were offering that. We talked about it on the show a couple times last year. I forgot about it. I went to order it, and it was pretty late in the game, and it was all sold out.
So it's another pretty book that I'll put on the shelf and never read. I got a bunch of movies from Severn Films, but I'm saving them for a special occasion, maybe.
What's more special than sitting here talking with me right now?
Well, I don't know. A screening of a movie or something? I don't know.
Oh, yeah, that's more special. It is. I won't even argue with you.
So would you buy anything?
I bought stuff.
Oh.
Okay, so first of all, went to Weirdsville Records. Haven't been there in a while. Went there for Boot's birthday. Took a couple of her friends. Rebecca went along. Thank God that the girls all brought some of their own money, because basically I was going to buy everybody, one thing, and if they wanted to buy other stuff, then it was on them, which is what happened. Dropped a bunch of money on records for everybody, but for me personally, I finally got my hands on the copy of the Rob Zombie Presents with Waxworks Records Last Man on Earth record. It's a dual set. The records are gorgeous. I should have them here so I can show you, Brian. They're this like green, pearlescent, beautiful. I forget now because I just opened it up and glanced at it and then threw the record on, but there's something that comes along with it. It was like a little book of stuff. It's such a cool thing. And it was like, I don't know, what did I pay? $30, I think, maybe. So that was pretty cool. And then we stopped at Screamer's Costumes, which is not far from Weirdsville. And the girls each got something small, which was cool. I wanted to get my hands on the Vincent Price NECA figure. I know our friend Tad from Attack of the Killer podcast got it, 2 months ago. It was available at Target. I don't like ordering things from Target or Best Buy because a lot of times it'll show up and it's not packaged well and the box will be all jacked up. I like to get them in person, but unfortunately, Screamer's Costumes didn't have it. So what's funny is like a week ago, I was like, all right, I can't find it in person. I've gone on Target a few times. I'm just going to order it. So I hopped on Target. I ordered it. The day before this recording, I happened to mention to Rebecca, yeah, I'm waiting on a box. She goes, what did you order? And I was the Vincent Price NECA figure. She goes, you didn't. And I'm like, oh no. And she was like, I ordered one for you for Valentine's Day. I was like, I'm sorry, I didn't know. So the cool thing is so now I have two. My hearse Henrietta, the 73. I have an extra Henrietta NECA action figure that I'm going to put on the dash. And then I have one in the box. So I said, well, this is still cool because someday I plan on owning a second hearse, either from like a 1960 to a 64. And that one I want to restore original, classy. His name shall be Vincent. So I was like, now I've got a Vincent figure for that. But here's a funny story. So I ordered mine from Target. It was packaged well. It was wrapped in bubble wrap. I open it up. It's got no sticker seal on it. And the hang tag is all wrinkled and bent up. Not a big deal, but if you're a collector, it's a big fucking deal. She ordered one from Best Buy. She got it $10 cheaper than me. She had a coupon. It was not packaged well. And the box is pristine and it's got the sticker seal.
What the hell?
But I spent money on one more thing, Brian. I had to do this. I tell you what, if you are a horror fan, a collector, if you're a collector, you probably already do this. There are several groups on Facebook that you can go and join, and they're all action figure horror collectibles. Just, I don't have any names in front of me. I'm a member of a bunch of them. It pays to be a member of those because you find out about things you might not otherwise find out about, especially if you're busy. So about a week or so ago, I just happened to click on Facebook and someone posted that Shout Factory is re-releasing Night of the Creeps again with a whole bunch of extras. And they have a new Tom Atkins action figure where he's dressed in the white suit. Like if you've seen Night of the Creeps, well, first of all, if you have or haven't, go back and listen to it because we covered it here on the I Like It Spooky Horror podcast back in 2024. But if you've seen the movie, then you know that he has this dream sequence where he's on the beach. So they have a new Tom Atkins figure in that outfit.
Tell me something, Spanky.
Limited to 4,000. By the time I found out, I hopped on there. There was 56 left. So because you can get the bundle or you can get the figure alone. And I ordered it. And then I'm trying to get a hold of Ted and I'm texting Ted. And it was like 9:30 at night. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, old man. Ted from Ted's Marvelous Custom Gumball Emporium. I'm like, Jesus Christ, old man, are you already in bed? He didn't answer. And I'm calling him and leaving a message. Like, oh my God, call me. Go to shoutfactory.com right now. There's only like 40 left. It sold out in maybe an hour after I became aware of it. So that is on the way. It was like a pre-order. But I think, NECA, I saw a thing yesterday. I guess you can still order the bundle and get the action figure, but it looked like you can still order the standalone. So I think that NECA's BS with their whole limited. They always re-release it, or they say there's 4,000, it sells out, and then magically some more appear. So if you're interested, go to shoutfactory.com and fish around and see if you can still get it. It was like $40, $50.
Yeah, because the limited edition one of him in his police officer or detective uniform, there's magically some to go with this bundle.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. If you get the bundle, then you can get both the original that came out with the trench coat and this new white suit.
I would imagine they, throw the FOMO at everybody and be like, oh, you're going to miss out. And then they bring it back in a couple months. You're going to miss out. We found some in a box in the basement, in our grandma's basement from 1924. Who else does that? There's another. Is it Super 7? No, Fright Rags will do that with their, the little card boxes. Oh, we're putting out Halloween 5, and then 2 years later, oh, we got Halloween 5 out again, and they don't do anything different. That's kind of one of the things about the Stop the Killer. This says first pressing. They should, do something. Halloween 5 2018 edition, Halloween 5 2024 edition, do something where it's a little different. People are still going to buy the damn thing.
What Shout Factory's been doing is they've been kind of sneaky. So recently, it was around Christmas time last year, they magically found a box of Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 Ricky action figures. And I jumped right on it and I ordered 2. Gave one to Ted for Christmas, and they showed up, and the Santa hats were loose. The box was fine, but the Santa hats were loose, and one of them, the Santa hat, had fallen and was covering Ricky's face. And I sent Ted a message, and I sent him pictures, and I said, look, man, I'll give you the shirt off my back, but you're not going to get my Ricky that doesn't have the hat. I'm sorry. Come to find out, I saw people online talking about they didn't discover new stock. It's all like the ones that people returned, and shit like that. So then I saw that Shout recently had a Frank from They Live, and it was like, we found this, but I think they knew they got called out because they showed pictures and they said as is, and the box was all jacked up.
So somebody returned it, and they're making money. People are so scared to miss out on anything nowadays that you're online buying Fright Rags cards from Fright Rags at cost, and people are still on eBay that day buying it for 3 times what it's selling for. Online right now.
What drives me insane is you brought up Fright Rags. Fright Rags and Trick or Treat Studios, in particular, Trick or Treat Studios, they announce these things and then it's pre-order for like 2 fucking years. It takes forever. I know with a lot of the stuff I always talk about with psychotherapy and with Haunting in the Hills, I tease a lot, but still, they like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre playset. It's been a pre-order for literally like a year and a half plus now. And they keep talking. There's all these cool action figures that they're coming. NECA does the same thing, but not as long. NECA just takes forever to get you your shit. NECA's got a whole bunch of cool stuff coming out. But when? They just keep saying it's coming out, it's coming out, it's coming out. When? Let's do it. Give it to me.
And then I forget all about it and I don't buy it.
No, see, I don't forget about it. I forget where I put the piece of paper where I wrote the note down that I want to get it. I forget where that's at, but I don't forget about it.
You need like one of those maps in the back of your room with all the pens and stuff to it and connecting all the things that you're going to order.
2018, they announced the Return of the Living Dead 2-pack with a line going to 2019. They still haven't released it.
People will think that you're trying to solve a murder.
I am. The murder of my wallet. Good God. I need intervention. I need a sponsor.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are easily frightened, we advise you not to watch this film.
First it was color, then sound, then 3D and CinemaScope. Now, the most exciting new storytelling technique in film history.
Severin Films. Severn Films is an American film production and distribution company known for restoring and releasing cult films on DVD and Blu-ray.
You've never seen anything like it before.
SevernFilms.com.
So now that we've heard from our sponsor, it's time for the movie, the 1959 American science fiction horror. I'm calling this a classic. I really enjoyed this film.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's an hour and 7 minutes long. It doesn't need to be fucking longer. When did people start making films for like 2 hours long for no fucking apparent reason?
I guess when they decided that they thought they had to like cater to specific demographics.
But we're talking about the zombie film,
Mm-hmm.
Invisible Invaders.
From outer space come the invisible invaders, living dead men threatening to destroy all life on Earth.
I thought we were talking about John Cena.
No,
we're not. We said we weren't talking about John Cena.
no, he was not alive in 1959.
How can you see him? It's because you wear glasses, isn't it?
That's it, yeah.
So Invisible Invaders, I caught the tail end of this movie like real late one night, fucking forever ago. I've been trying to find it ever since and recently did. And since we just covered Return of the Living Dead in the last episode, it seemed like a perfect fit to talk about a movie that, in my opinion, had to influence George Romero. This film, it predates Plan 9 from Outer Space. It predates Night of the Living Dead, and it showcases elements of both movies.
Does this one predate White Zombie? I think White Zombie was before this.
I didn't look that up, but I'm almost certain White Zombie was like 39 or 44 or, late 30s to mid 40s.
But yeah, this one would have to have been on the radar for anybody making a zombie film. I saw several places online that this was it. This was kind of the movie that started that whole craze with zombie films. Gave ideas to people, and then George Romero comes along and makes Night of the Living Dead, and then it's, wildfire from there.
Well, that's why this movie always interests me. Because again, I caught just a tail end of it forever ago. And what I caught was later in the movie where you see the zombies, which moved and looked a lot like zombies from Night of the Living Dead, kind of walking through the like desert area trying to find the bunker. It was like an epiphany. I was like, holy shit, this is way before Night of the Living Dead. And that's where that started. No, it started here with Invisible Invaders. Everything up to this point, to the best of my knowledge, was voodoo or witchcraft or, stuff like that. Witches, witchcraft. This was, like you say, it was the building block for what we know of the modern zombie. And I'm not taking anything away from George, because George Romero took this obscure 1 hour and 7 minute movie that most people I don't think has even heard of. It had a ridiculously low budget. It didn't have really any star power for the most part, and then turned it into this cultural phenomenon that lives on to this day. But Invisible Invaders is worth a look to go see kind of where it all started.
Yeah, and Invisible Invaders, they give you why they're zombies. That the zombies are the aliens. In Night of the Living Dead, you don't get any explanation.
No, you get hints and kind of and the hints that you get are like a radio thing where they're talking about radiation in the area and a probe, which is funny because Invisible Invaders, since it has that sci-fi element, is all, and it was late 50s, which was all the atomovision, atomic ants, and just radiation was everything. They explain in this movie in Invisible Invaders that it was because of, well, actually, it was weird. They talked about radiation, but then it shifted where it wasn't radiation. It was the aliens.
Yeah, and the aliens are coming to the Earth because they're upset and they want to take over the planet. They've built a base on the moon, of all planets, but humanity and humans are getting to the point where they can travel into space. So they're worried that we're going to travel into space and cause issues with their empire. They've pretty much taken over the solar system from the sounds of it.
And they're invisible.
Well, yeah. In a roundabout way, yeah, they're invisible because they have to, which I didn't understand either. They have to take over a dead human body, bring it back to life to be able to move. But at one point, don't they attack the Major without having a body late in the film?
No, I don't think so. Great. I'm going to have to go back and watch it. I'm glad it's only an hour and 7 minutes, but I don't remember that part.
I'll give you a little synopsis. Dr. Carol Norman is killed in an explosion. Aliens inhabit his corpse and use it to communicate with his former colleague, Dr. Penner, revealing to him that invisible aliens live on the moon. After this revelation, the aliens set to wipe out humanity by making zombies from their corpses. To survive, Dr. Penner, his beautiful daughter, which every scientist in the 1950s must have had a beautiful daughter.
I think women from the 50s and 60s were.
Dr. John Lamont and Major Bruce J. all hide in a bunker to try to save humanity.
So many elements. So the majority of this discussion, I'm going to point out similarities I see that I think George took from this movie. But first, my only real hang-up is John Carradine, who is basically the main star power of this movie, and he's only in it physically in the very beginning, and then you hear his voice throughout. But my only real hang-up is that if his Carol Neumann character died in the beginning of the movie in an explosion, right? A radioactive explosion, when the alien inhabits his body and he goes to visit his colleague to give the warning about the Earth has how many ever days to surrender to us, how in the fuck is he intact? Like, I know that he's freshly dead, so he's not going to be all rotted, but he blew up in a fucking radiation lab, but he's just like you and I, just looks a little tired.
Yeah, he looks pretty good for a blown up fucking corpse. Maybe they can put him back together again.
It's kind of like everything else. Like, boy, they built shit way better back in the day. The morticians back in the day were fantastic, you know. I found out, too, that the name of the character, Dr. Carol Neumann, played by John Carradine, was recycled by the screenwriter of Invisible Invaders, Samuel Newman, from an entirely different character in his film, The Giant Claw from 1957.
Yeah, and you don't get much outside of that start of the movie where there's a huge budget. I mean, you wouldn't even know that this film had hardly any budget. I couldn't find anything, but once they get to the bunker, they're pretty much in the bunker. They go out a little bit and then they're in the bunker.
We always talk about indie film, indie spirit, and that's what I took from this film too, was even though it had, from everything, I couldn't find a number, but I kept seeing over and over that it just had a ridiculously small budget. Like you say, Brian, you could not tell. They had a great blend of effects, miniatures, and stock footage. A lot of stock footage that was tied in. They probably got for next to nothing. It was public domain. There was a car crash scene that was used from Thunder Road from 1958, a year earlier.
Yeah, and the plane crash near the beginning of the film was from like a remote control experiment made by the Air Force. So that was probably something they got super cheap.
That was kind of a hang up too. It was no big deal, but you saw the white X, right?
Yeah.
You could see like the white X where the plane was supposed to hit right in the rocks. That took you out of what was going on for a second, but.
Yeah, another thing I saw with the budget was due to the small budget, most of the stunts, they had to do most of their, if not all of their own stunts to cast with like no training. So the fight scene and any of that, they had to do with pretty much no training and figure it out themselves.
I saw that too, and there was something about they were doing like the Jeep chase scene or whatever, and like the Jeep they took a sharp corner and it almost flipped over on them. Dangerous set.
For an hour and 7 minutes, though, just a super fun, super interesting, super simple film that you could put on. I mean, anybody can watch this. There's no nudity. There's no coarse language. There's no blood, really, no guts. There's a couple times where people are fighting, and God, any age pretty much could watch this film.
I rented this on Prime, and it had a rating of 7+. I didn't even know that was a fucking rating. Like, I didn't know that was a thing. But no, I agree. And it's entertaining. Anybody who watches this movie is going to be entertained, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think if you enjoy horror films, if you enjoy history, if you enjoy science fiction, I mean, if you enjoy dramas, there's no real comedy in the film. I mean, you may catch yourself laughing. They figure out how to finally kill the aliens. It's kind of comical how they come out and how they die. You're like, I waited the whole damn movie for that. Melt into like, it looks like a sink full of bubbles from doing dishes. I
thought it looked like a wad of tinfoil. Like, so they just wadded up tinfoil and stuck it on the ground. But no, this is a great movie. I'm not talking shit about it. I'm thrilled that I figured out and I found it again and that I was able to sit down and watch it. Like I said, there's no way for me to talk about this movie and not point out all the things that I saw that I thought George Romero took from this film and put into not just Night of the Living Dead, but films across his career as far as the zombie side of things. Real quick, we talked about the Plan 9 from Outer Space stuff. This came out right before Plan 9 from Outer Space, and it reminds me of, I will always go back to when I first was a guest in the show years ago when we talked about The Burning, and I said, how come all these movies that came out in 1981, The Burning, My Bloody Valentine, Friday the 13th Part 2, all had these same elements? Was it people in a circle influencing each other, or was it people stealing ideas? There was a lot of this movie that Ed Wood put in Plan 9 from Outer Space, but they came out like a month apart. So you got to think that it was just cultural influence.
Yeah, I would imagine this is what was being made at that time, maybe. These kind of films with the, radiation and space travel and all these things, aliens. So maybe it was just a kind of like you flip the news on now and this is all they're talking about. The wildfires or something. Like, is there something that is just sticking out at this point in history and time that people are like, I got to make a movie about that?
Right. But specifically with both of these, Plan 9 from Outer Space and Invisible Invaders, it was the first time where the zombies weren't voodoo. The zombies were reanimated corpses of the recently dead. In Plan 9 from Outer Space, it was Vampira and is it Tor or Thor? Tor Johnson, the big bald guy, Tor Johnson. So yeah, both of them had that same element of aliens taking over bodies of the recently dead, which I don't know if maybe that happened in the late 50s, and that happened back in the VA hospital with the leak of trioxin. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see, that was aliens.
Well, maybe, just like in Return of the Living Dead, maybe Romero was telling the truth in Night of the Living Dead, hinting that it was radiation. Maybe this is all based on something real.
It very well could be. I have no radiation and I haven't died yet that I know of.
Maybe this is all a dream. Okay, that's weird. There were a whole bunch of lines used in Invisible Invaders that you hear word for word verbatim as themes throughout Romero's Dead movies. The dead will kill the living. The dead will walk the earth. They wind up in an underground bunker towards the end of Invisible Invaders, just like in Day of the Dead. Almost the last of humanity trying to figure out a way to, fight the monsters. The military major is, in my opinion, very similar to Rhodes from Day of the Dead. Not as much of an asshole, but you could see the similarities. This is kind of a stretch, but in the bunker, which most of the movie doesn't take place in the bunker. Again, this an hour and 7 minutes. The pacing's really good, but I'm referring a lot to the bunker. And this is kind of a stretch, but the zombies are banging on the door of the bunker trying to get in. You hadn't seen or heard anything like that until that time, really, that I can know of. The dead farmer. So remember they capture the dead farmer because they shoot him. Was it even the farmer? They captured one of the recently dead inhabited by the aliens, and they had him isolated in the bunker. And then at one point he rises up off of his bed. It looked just like Roger from Dawn of the Dead. Just so many similarities. This one, Dr. Lamont, he was one of the doctors in the underground bunker, and he was kind of like the whiny, wishy-washy one. He reminds me of Harry Cooper from Night of the Living Dead. And then, of course, him and the Major fight for control of the bunker, so to speak, or at least like the decisions to be made. It was just like Harry and Ben from Night of the Living Dead. They even get into a physical fight about the same timeline of the movie as when Ben and Harry do in Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah, because at one point, Dr. Lamont's like, maybe we will surrender. Do you think they'll let us live? And he's just whiny the whole film. And I think he has a thing for the young lady that's there, that's the professor's daughter. But of course, she's falling in love with the Major. And I'm always like, why do we need that in every damn film? It's the end of the damn world. I don't care how attractive you are. I need to save humanity. Because if we don't, it doesn't matter, and there's just footage of the whole damn world is burning. There's maybe 200 people left in the whole damn world, but these two are the two that are going to fall in love.
Well, and that was another element that was in Day of the Dead, was you had the one female in the bunker. She had a relationship with the one soldier, but then, of course, it's the end of the world and all these other guys want to take a crack at her. And it just harkens back to this movie. George had to have seen this movie.
I can't imagine. It would be a very interesting question to ask him if he was still alive, or if maybe someone's asked him and we just don't know it.
I tell you what, though, other than that, there's not a lot to discuss about this movie because, again, it's cut and dry. It's pretty simple. I do think it's interesting that, the aliens start attacking. Everybody's like, well, they're not using weapons. But yeah, they're turning our weapons against us. Yeah, they're inhabiting the bodies of the dead and then causing havoc. And like you say, burning stuff down. The stock footage was amazing, showing actual bridges collapsing and buildings on fire and protests in the streets and lots of cool stuff. Seamlessly edited.
Yeah, the aliens have no use for eating humans. They just want to watch the world burn and get us to surrender. And maybe that's why they need the surrender. They just can't take over because they don't have weapons of their own. They're having to use our own weapons against us. So they kind of need that surrender.
Again, it kind of goes to the zombie thing, which is, in essence, at least the slow-moving Romero-esque zombies are actually very vulnerable creatures. They're just us. They're not any stronger than us. And these aliens in this movie are the same way. They're actually super vulnerable. So they kind of bow up and flex up and intimidate you so they can take over, but they can be killed just as easily as us. Should we say how they do it? No, I'm going to in my ratings, so never mind. I'm going to spoil it.
I would imagine if this film had let's just say $100,000 budget, $999,000 of that was spent on two-piece suits for the actors.
Yeah.
Right? So every damn zombie's got a two-piece. No poor zombies in this film. Everybody's got a two-piece suit on.
Well, but hey, no, but I was going to say, this is back in the 50s where there was and I don't know because I wasn't alive then, but so like when my dad passed, he wanted to be cremated and, he just, cardboard box, like he wanted to go out a simple man. It seems like back in the 50s, like everybody went out with that grandeur, the pine, or not the pine box, but the more dignity.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this film. It's got a physical media release from Kino Lorber in 2016, which is a very legitimate company that does amazing things. So it's significant. I looked through the box to see if I owned it because it's not streaming for free anywhere. You have to buy it if you want to stream it online.
Which I'm surprised.
So I don't own it, so I had to find it and rent it. But yeah, it's obviously a significant film. I did some research on it, and there was people that had done pages and pages and pages about this movie and its importance. I think everybody should watch this.
I agree, and I think that the physical media release it got, you said that was like 2016, I think it was? Mm-hmm. If I think that there, of course, was some interviews with people still around from, involved in the making of that. So there's some insight. It's not just the movie restored.
Yeah, so it's gotten a couple of DVDs, but this is the Blu-ray release, so it's still floating around.
Well, I'm glad that you liked it, even though we haven't rated it yet. I'm glad that we watched it because I'm glad that I found it. I think this is a movie that most people are not going to be aware of, and I really think that everybody should go back. And again, if you hate it, then yell at me, okay? I took an hour and 7 minutes of your time.
Should I do some recommendations before we rate it?
Yeah, let's see what you got.
A couple recommendations, of course. One you've already brought up, The Last Man on Earth. If you enjoy this film, go watch that film. If you enjoy that film, you're probably going to enjoy this film. Another science fiction film, The Thing from Another World. Have you seen that one? The black and white?
The original Thing, which, yeah, because mainly for me, I think that would fit in the recommendations just because that was a classic film that influenced another great filmmaker, John Carpenter.
And then one that doesn't really fit the mold, but I love it. And it's aliens and it's the military and the world coming into an end. Day of the Triffids. And I just love the sound that the Triffids make. They're more of a plant-like creature. I really enjoy Day of the Triffids. And I think most people that like this film would watch Day of the Triffids, and it's maybe a little more science fiction-y, so maybe not, but I love Day of the Triffids, and it's fun.
I haven't seen that one.
It's another black and white. I think it's maybe in color now for the most part when you find it. End of the world, and there's these plant-like creatures that make this ungodly, goofy sound throughout the whole movie. So it's kind of got that green slime feel to it too.
Well, that was going to be one of my recommendations, and then you hit it home with the goofy sound. But yeah, I think that if you enjoy this film, then of course you have to enjoy anything The Dead from the Dead series, Day or Night, Dawn, and Day from George Romero. But of course you have to like green slime.
These are just super fun, short, don't have to put a lot of thought into them. Just throw on a movie and enjoy life. What do you think? You want to rate it? You want me to go first?
Go for it.
I'm going to go. I really like this one. This isn't one that I could put on maybe once or twice a year and just let it play and watch parts of it. I'm going to go 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10 two-piece suits. I just had fun with it. I mean, it just something that I would put on for Finley and I just kind of to watch on a cold Sunday, or maybe throw up in the backyard on the projector. How much fun would that be?
Or to screen back to back with Night of the Living Dead or any of those recommendations that you just listed off. Have an all-day film festival with all of those. That would be a fucking blast.
What do you got?
I'm pretty right there, pretty close to you. I'm right in the range. I'm going 9.5 decibels out of 10. Because there's the spoiler alert. That's how they finally learn they can defeat the invisible invaders is with sound. It makes them visible. And at first I thought it was just going to make them visible so they knew where they were, so they would know how to kill them or something. But then it turned the aliens into, I don't know, you said like piles of dish soap or whatever.
Yeah, it looked like a pile of dish soap.
I thought it was balls of foil. I don't know. In essence, this was an indie film. And although I didn't find anything besides an opinion piece to cite, I'm repeating myself, I am certain that this influenced one of the greatest indie filmmakers of all time, George Romero. So 9.5 out of 10. Go check it out. If you disagree with us, send us a message at ilikeitspookypod@gmail.com and let us know so I know where to return hate mail to. Because if you don't like this, then as far as I'm concerned, you don't even like horror, because this is a foundational piece of the modern horror world that we know of today.
Yeah, I would imagine without this film, you're not getting anything that's around today. I mean, are you getting The Walking Dead 28 days later? Because it all goes backwards. You work backwards from today, and it all leads back to this, I would imagine.
No, but what's odd is if this didn't exist and we didn't get Romero and we didn't get other films like that, if Richard Matheson didn't do I Am Legend and we didn't get Last Man on Earth, would we get, all this other stuff? I think we would wind up pretty much where we are here in 2025, where we're getting the Wolfman, Frankenstein, vampire. Oh, what a fucked up world we live in.
What are we supposed to do now? Hear from our podcast network?
Wait, you did recommendations. Your dog barked. The car went by the window. Yeah, I think it's time to hear from our podcast network, the PFPN.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal, providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.
So now that we've heard from our podcast network, it's time for This Day in Horror. And on this episode, we're covering the dates February 2nd through February 15th.
My Bloody Valentine's going to pop up in this list, isn't it?
I don't think it's time yet.
Bullshit. Go ahead. Let's see what you got.
A date which will live in infamy.
And on February 4th in 1981, you get The Entity.
Oh, classic. Oh, my God. If you haven't seen this movie, it's based in real life, based on a true story. There's a scene early on in the movie where they keep hearing these ghostly, it's a single mom, and she had, I think 3 kids. And the oldest was like kind of like the man of the house, he was like 16, 17. Anyway, they keep hearing these ghostly sounds. And so he climbs underneath the crawl space of the house to investigate. And he's looking around. It's a very suspenseful scene. And then he reaches up and there's like 2 water pipes and he like bangs them together. And you can see that he kind of labors to do it. And he looks out and he goes, "Mom, that's all it is this." And she goes, "Yeah, great. What was making those pipes do that before you were?" And you see the fear and I just got goosebumps because that scene always scared the shit out of me. My ex-wife, when she was still alive, I can't remember if it was where we used to live or where I live now, but there was something similar like that. And it was like one of the few times she actually got me. It was a very similar situation. And I was like, "Oh, it's this." And she was like yelling down to the basement. She's like, "What made it do that before you went down there?" I run up the fucking stairs, Sorry. What else you got?
And then 1983, you get Videodrome.
Long Live the New Flesh.
In 2000, you get Scream 3. I don't know if that's one of the good Scream movies or...
That's the bad one. It's the bad one.
On February 4th every year, you get I Heart Horror Day, a day to celebrate horror and raise funds for charity. I did not know that was a thing.
Me either. Speaking of charity, and I know that a lot of people lost their homes with the wildfires in California, but you brought up Videodrome, and I just know because I heard an interview that one of the people that lost their homes was James Woods.
Yeah, it's been a really tough week in Hollywood for horror fans, for pop culture fans in general, these last couple weeks. I mean, we lost David Lynch, who was, The Elephant Man, Eraserhead, Twin Peaks, all kinds of other stuff, and he was super young. Just had been a rough 2025 already, and the movies at the box office I don't feel like are helping us much to get through these first couple weeks, but I think there's a change coming. I think some of the stuff that's coming out is piqued my interest. Companion, I don't know if you've seen the trailer for that.
Is that the one with the AI house?
Remember we were talking about the Megan film and how I felt like it would go to a sex robot?
Oh, is that what it is?
Well, this guy, it's Dennis Quaid's son, and he unlocks his sex robot, and it turns on him. So it looks interesting. And then The Presence, which is the film that's shot from the...
Wait. If the character... Hold on. If the character in this movie spent money on a robot, on a sex robot,
yep,
and then the sex robot turns on him, why didn't he just get married to a human?
Well, exactly. But yeah,
it's the same thing.
He jailbreaks his sex robot and it goes crazy. Yeah. I don't know why you would do that, but
how did we go from that is the link. Tragedy, wildfires, James Wood losing his home. David Lynch is the link because he is the crazy madman that would come up with something like what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then The Presence, which is the film that's shot from the view of the spirit that's haunting the people's house. So that one looks interesting. So yeah, hopefully we get some stuff that's better than the Wolfman. I haven't seen the Wolfman. I've heard about the Wolfman. Why do they keep calling these fucking films the Wolfman or anything along those lines? It's kind of like, I know I've talked about The Shape of Water, but it would be like if Del Toro was like, oh, I'm going to make a new Creature from the Black Lagoon movie. I'm just going to call it The Creature from the Black Lagoon. You don't do that. If you're trying to do something different, you call it The Shape of Water because then it fits, then it's different, then you don't tie it back to all this lineage. And one of the things I was talking to Rod about is I think people loved the Invisible Man, the newer Invisible Man, because people don't hold that series to the regard that they hold Dracula or The Creature or Frankenstein.
Correct.
You can mess with that one. You can change that one. Those films, you don't mess with those. If you do, you don't name it what the fucking original movie was named.
No, look at what Fred Decker did with the Monster Squad. He made his own movie and had those characters, and it was great. It's a fucking classic.
I don't know. I hope the next couple weeks are better for films or next months or whatever.
Do you know what would be a great double feature with, what was it again, The Shape of Water? A great double feature with The Shape of Water. Take a guess.
No, I have no idea.
Pond Scum.
Oh, yeah.
Open it up with Pond Scum. If you want to know what we're talking about, tune in to the latest, I think it comes out after this episode of Indie Spotlight, and you will hear what the hell it is we're talking about.
No, it comes out way before this. It comes out in like a couple days.
Oh, really? Oh, well, then go back and listen to Indie Spotlight, the latest episode, so you know what the hell we're talking about.
We're still doing This Day in Horror. February 7th in 1980, you get Inferno. And then one of my favorite films, Cannibal Holocaust. I always feel weird saying that's one of my favorite films.
You know, I still haven't seen that fucking movie.
I wouldn't tell anybody to go watch it, but I wouldn't tell anybody not to watch it, if that makes sense. In 1986, you get FX. And in 1991, you get Puppet Master 2. I don't feel like the Puppet Master films are like way older than that.
They seem like it, don't they? But yeah, well, it was 90, and then what'd you say part 2 was? 92?
91.
The first and second one were good. The third one wasn't that bad, and then they got kind of goofy. But the movie you brought up, FX, is that the one about the cops?
Where it's like about a special effects.
Yeah, it's a cop and a special effects artist, and they're tracking a killer. That's a fun fucking movie, especially if you're a fan of special effects, practical effects.
February 8th in 1968, you get Planet of the Apes that we've covered on the wrong podcast died. 1980. This is probably the best film on this list.
If it's 1980, it's bound to be.
The Fog.
Yeah.
Yeah. In 2019, you get Lords of Chaos, which I've never seen, but I've heard a lot of good stuff about. And February 11th in 1981, the greatest slasher film of all time, My Bloody Valentine.
It is on the list. You lied to me. all-time favorite slasher film, all-time favorite horror movie-ish. It's up there with the number one spot. It always changes depending on what time of year it is.
And we've covered that on the podcast. I mean, hell, we've covered the original, the remake, Valentine Bluffs. Is there anything we haven't covered when it comes to that movie?
There's some spin-off comic stuff we haven't talked about, but I'm sure we talked about it when we covered that other stuff.
That's all I got for history.
Well, what the fuck else is going on?
Nothing.
Our witty segues have just gone into like cliffhanger moments.
So I do have an update on the Severn Films thing in Burlington, Iowa. It looks like it's a go. I have a sponsor. I have actually a sponsor, and then I have someone else that's interested in sponsoring. So sounds like I need to work out the dates and the amount, if it's how much each ticket's gonna be and all that kind of stuff. But it sounds like in April in Burlington, Iowa sometime, we're gonna be watching some Severn Film movies. So I'm hoping to knock that information out this week and then start making a poster and start doing some legwork to get posters up. I think I'm going to make 2 posters. I'm going to make a poster with Cemetery Man and Vampires Lesbos on it. And then I'm going to make a poster with Cemetery Man and a Severin double feature on the second part, just in case I walk into the library and say, hey, can I hang up this poster with Vampires Lesbos on it? And they're like, no.
I was wondering what the second movie was because it looked to me like because you put together almost like a little teaser poster and I was like, oh, that's Cemetery Man. And I almost called it out on social media and I'm like, nah, I'm gonna let him do what he's doing. But the other picture was just like a picture of like a roadway with a parker and some streetlights or something. I'm like, what the fuck is that?
So I think the second film is Vampires Lesbos. I'm almost certain it will be a Jess Franco film. I think it's that one, but we'll see. You just got to show up and find out, I guess.
Do you know what would be even more fun than just going upstairs right now and watching Cemetery Man? Is watching Cemetery Man on the big screen in a room full of people with popcorn. That would be amazing.
Popcorn and drinks and ice cream sandwiches, jujubes. I don't even know if they make them damn things anymore, but
ice cream sandwiches?
Yeah, they have these huge ice cream sandwiches at the Capitol. Wash down your popcorn with it, or vice versa. I don't know.
I just don't think of ice cream when I think of the movie theater. So, no, that's super cool that you're able to move forward with an official announcement about stuff like that. You kind of really laid the groundwork back in 2023, really, for the podcast here being involved with screening films. And, that was 2 years ago, and you've done so many screenings since then that I'm glad to see it still moving forward. It has inspired me to do screenings as well. I think you have a little bit better traction with what you're doing at the Capitol and the stuff you did at the Orpheum, and I'm just getting going with stuff out to Haunting in the Hills there. But I don't have a whole lot new to report other than I can officially announce that for the upcoming June 21st event, that Dead Sled brand, which is a hearse club in the Michigan area, in Michigan, is officially going to be in attendance. I finally did an official announcement on social media about the June 21st Maximum Overdrive event. God, it was met with, as far as I'm concerned, great success. It was triple probably the shares and the interactions and the comments and the messages that I got from the Trauma event. Nothing against the Trauma guys. I think just my formula or what I'm trying to do, it's starting to gain traction, just like I said about you, Brian. So I think more people are, this is what's going on out there. And I officially have Tim Shockey and the Green Goblin Head, signed up, and I booked him a room, so I hope he shows up. He'll show up. He's a good dude to be there with the Green Goblin Head from Maximum Overdrive. So just kind of like you say, more things are getting more concrete with what you're doing out there in Illinois and Iowa. Things are getting more concrete here as well. And we're just going to keep moving forward and reporting on all these episodes about all the cool shit we're trying to pull off.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff coming your way in 2025. We didn't think there would be, and then seems like stuff just kind of maybe doesn't fall in our lap. We have to put in the hard work to get it done.
The work. It reminds me of something. There are people that have tried to do things similar to what I'm doing. I'm not knocking these people. I don't even personally know some of these people, but I know it didn't work out. And it could be for a multitude of reasons. But as I get out in there and I roll my sleeves up and get my hands fucking dirty and bloody, I think think a lot of it is, I think people, especially out there, it's, oh my God. You can have the best intentions and dreams. And I said this right after New Year's. I said, it's time to get to work. You can have all the New Year's resolutions you want, but if you don't want to put in the work to make it happen, then it doesn't fucking matter. And I'm sorry if I'm trying to sound like some motivational coach, but a lot of great things could happen, like you just said, Brian, if you put in the fucking work to do it. So
yeah, it kind of goes back to David Lynch. I was talking to our friend Justin Beam, and I said, David Lynch is what happens when someone is a genius. It's when passion and wisdom meet. He's got this crazy passion. He's got this crazy wisdom. He's this genius. And that's what happens when those kind of things meet. And you have to, like you, when hard work and passion and drive meet, stuff starts happening. And that's what's going on in Michigan. You know, you can't just be talented. You need more. You have to have passion. You got to have the drive. You got to have several things. And if you're lacking one of those things, sometimes stuff just doesn't work. Sometimes stuff falls in your laps and you get lucky, but that's not how it usually goes most of the time.
Oh, I want to go out there when we get in recording and start doing stuff. I can't. I got to do stuff around the house today, unfortunately.
It's 15 below zero here in Illinois, so I'm going to go to the couch.
So I'm going to the couch. I'm dealing with that tomorrow and the day after of this. No, just real quick in the David Lynch thing. So I saw an interview right after he passed. Of course, the internet was flooded with stuff about him, but he was being interviewed and he said something to the effect of everybody's like grand ideas. He said, won't come to you as this like ultimate complete plan. He said, they come to you in little fractions of ideas that ultimately lead to a bigger idea. And he said and it's not all the time, but every time one of those little fractions hits you, you write it down so you don't forget about it. And then you figure out how to make it work. And he said something like those days when those things happen are the best days of your life. When you get hit with those ideas. Kind of like when George Romero watched Invisible Invaders and said, holy shit, I've got an idea for a movie. Wait, hold on. We're taking credit away from John Russo and Russ Schreiner, who wrote that screenplay as well. Hey, oh my God, this just hit me. Unfortunately, George Romero has passed. I've never seen it come up in an interview about Invisible Invaders. John Russo and Russ Schreiner are still alive. And John Russo talking about hard work. That guy works the circuit. He's at every fucking show, big or small. He was just here in 20 minutes north of me about 2 months ago at the Michigan Theater in Jackson, Michigan. And him and Russ were there for a screening of Night of the Living Dead. I'm going to figure out where John's going to be at next and ask him.
You better write it down. Listen to David Lynch and write it down.
Oh, shit. Hold on. Yes. Ask, hold on, John Russo about Invisible Invaders. Okay, that. And then the next thing I'm going to write down is stop talking and end this show. Till next time.
What do you think this is all about? You think this is a fucking costume? This is a way of life.